If you want to be successful in retirement and know how much money you will need in retirement, you cannot turn to surveys like this one and assume that there's some magic number needed to retire worry-free. No, the way you know how much money you need to retire is based on this formula, and in the end, taking the money you do have and making it work for you. So let's go over the keys that any saver who is looking for a successful and enjoyable retirement must consider. First, you've got to understand that retirement is different for everyone. In fact, in this survey that we looked at, there's no telling where they got this information. It could have been people that lived in Manhattan, New York, who really did need $1.8 million to retire. But again, it's different for different people, and I've done this for a long time. I can make that a factual statement. All right, number two, are you mentally prepared to retire? You know, there are certain times when people talk to me about transitioning from this thing called work to retirement, and they look at me and they go, well, am I able to retire financially? I had a gentleman in the office the other day, 60 years of age. He was single, had a lot of money saved up, and I said, yes, sir, you can easily retire. I could tell just by looking at everything. But then he was hesitant about retirement and found out that the problem was not the money. What he was concerned about was what he was going to do in retirement. So I told him, hey, let's figure that out first before you retire. Really important. Number three, work with an experienced retirement planning firm. Folks, assuming you're wanting to get a good night's sleep with this whole thing called retirement in your future, you've got to work with experienced retirement planning specialists before you retire. Or if you're already retired, let me suggest getting a second opinion from someone such as Tony Walker Financial. In fact, there's not a day that goes by that someone who is already retired with no game plan in place will call us and ask for this second opinion, and we are happy to do so at no cost whatsoever. Number four, understand what I came up with years ago called the 3 halves of life. Now, this is a retirement phenomenon observed over the years whereby as people get older and move through what I call the second half of life, most people begin to spend less and less money. And thus, while they might be fearful of inflation, they fight the effects of inflation by spending less money. It happens almost every case as people get older. Number five, understand the wants versus needs. Now, the way you do this, you have to understand the difference between income and expenses. We've created a handy-dandy little guide. It's called the Spending Plan. In fact, you can download this at Tony Walker Financial, or we'll be happy to mail one to you. But what this does, it provides an appraisal of what you need versus what you want. You see, in retirement, you must begin with an inventory of expenses that cover your basic needs. Needs such as food, clothing, transportation, shelter, taxes, insurance, and yes, medical expenses, just to name a few. Then, after you account for the cost to cover these needs, then you see if there are needs or costs that you can cut back on. Then, after calculating the cost of the needs, what is left over? Yep, they can be used for the fun stuff we call the wants. Stuff like golf, a favorite hobby, travel, entertainment, and yes, even major purchases. And then finally, last but not least, the keys to being worry-free in retirement is I would suggest take on this example of live well, die broke. A perspective on life I covered in my best-selling book called Live Well, Die Broke, which incidentally you can order from any major bookseller. What you need to realize with Live Well, Die Broke, it's positioning your money to first understand that you can't take it with you, and then secondly, to try to help you understand that you've got to use and enjoy this money before it's too late and without the fear of running out of money. Well, how do we do this? We call this our proprietary worry-free split IRA concept. And here's how this works. Let's say you have a 401k plan or IRA, or maybe a lot of money languishing in the bank right now. We can take this money and we divide this up into 2 or more buckets. Now, the first bucket is the Charles Schwab bucket, and its purpose is to provide us complete access and flexibility to our money at a low fee of 0.8%. Now, we do everything. We pick all the funds, we do all the management of it, we do all the distributions, we do all the tax withholdings, everything for 0.8%. That's about half of what most money managers charge, and most of them do half the work, quite frankly. Then on the other end, we will put sometimes multiple annuities. Now, what's the purpose of the annuities? Well, first of all, if you don't know much about annuities, I would highly suggest you download this little guide that I wrote. It's on our website. It's called Annuities Made Easy. In fact, we'll be happy to mail you a copy of this. Just email Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com and we'll get you that copy. But you have to understand, the annuities are there for protection of principal, and if you so choose, we can set up an annuity that is structured so it'll provide that beloved Okay, so if you don't have anything like this, if you don't have an advisor that you feel is truly in your corner, why don't you do this right now? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Let's arrange that free fiduciary phone call with myself or one of our highly trained salaried fiduciaries.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like, check out these other clips. And be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for more videos.